Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Pillow Talk with Kate on our hot topic, what's quarantine doing to my relationship? Welcome to another episode of Pillow Talk with Kate, hosted by moi, Kate Eichel. It is nice to be here, nice to be back at Pillow Talk. We've taken a few weeks off right now as we figure out the flow. I've got a lot of new things in the works. I'm going to be introducing a lot of new products to my services that I'm really excited about. So as I've been navigating that, I've been needing to step back from Pillow Talk for a little bit, but happy to announce that we are back and rolling. And today we are going to talk about something that has been a pretty juicy topic, and I've had quite a few clients and people slide into my DMs asking this question: what do you do when intimacy in a relationship is lacking? Communicate. Hello and welcome. Before Kate keeps going on and talking about whatever she's going to talk about, let's get grounded with some breath work. Alternate nostril breathing. And that helps to ignite the Shakti, which is the feminine energy, and Shiva, which is the masculine energy in us. So you're going to start by placing your thumb on your right nostril. You're going to take your right hand, put your right thumb on your right nostril, and you can put your index finger and middle finger on your left nostril. First, you're going to inhale. You're going to plug the right nostril using your thumb. Inhale into the left, plug the left nostril, move the thumb out of the way, exhale out of the right nostril. Inhale into the right nostril, plug it, move the fingers to the left nostril, and exhale out the left. Inhale into the left, cover, and exhale out the right. So we'll do this for a minute. Inhale, plug, exhale out the other. Plug, release, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Take these nice and slowly. There's no rush, no hurry. Breath in, pull the shoulders up to the ears, crunch up the neck. Oh my gosh, my neck is so small. And hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. exhale, release. Slowly let the shoulders drop down the spine, opening up the chest. Now, don't you just feel more centered and ready to, could it be to communicate? We've been in quarantine for a bunch of months. March, April, May, June, July. Oh yeah, going on about month 5, almost 6 months, depending what part of the world you're from. And quarantine has been affecting relationships. Well, duh. You're in the same, if you live with your partner, you're in the same close quarters, and there's really no way to hide. Like, if you're working from home and your partner's also working from home, or maybe they're not working from home and they're always there, it's easy to just always be around each other. Because you have this overwhelming sense of feeling like there's no escape, you're feeling the need to find solace on your own. So you might try to, might actually be pushing your partner away. Or a lot of people have seen intimacy issues, and so their sex life has declined since quarantine, and there could be a ton of reasons for that. Maybe it's that your partner is so energetically exhausted from trying to put up the front that everything's okay, that they don't have the sexual energy to put towards sex. Or they don't feel attractive. I mean, come on, like, we have been stuck at home for months. We are living a very sedentary lifestyle, more sedentary than I think what most people are used to. Not everyone is able to work out as much as they used to. You might be eating more just because you're home and you're around it. And even if you're not eating more, if you're eating the same and you're not working out, it's a high possibility that your body's going to put on more fat. Another thing that's been happening is there's been a lull in communication with partners during quarantine. Because if you're living together and you see each other all the time, you might feel like you've exhausted all there is to talk about. And if you don't live with each other, and when you do talk, you could be focusing on the negative things, and that can make them not want to talk, so they just don't reach out as much. That's a possibility. And there are a whole slew of other things that could be going on with the relationship. Regardless, whatever's going on in the relationship, and you feel like there's a problem within your relationship, I want to say, first, I guarantee you that the other person, the partner, can feel it. Because so often than not, when people come to me, they always say, like, I don't know if they don't see it, how they don't feel it, and I'm getting upset because they don't see it, and they clearly aren't responding to it. And I'm like, no, if you feel it, they most likely do feel it, but they also feel that you're upset, and they don't know how to handle that. They don't know how to take it. So they're choosing not to acknowledge it, hoping that will sweep it under the rug and work itself out. So it's not that they don't feel it, they are just choosing to respond assuming it will work out, or they're thinking the same thing of like, well, she hasn't said anything, or they haven't said anything, so maybe it's just in my head and I shouldn't bring it up. So they could be thinking that it's in their head and that you're fine with it because you haven't brought it up yet. Everybody has their different way of processing it. So don't discredit right away that your partner hasn't felt it. So they most likely have. They're probably just responding in the way that feels familiar to them to respond in that situation. Whatever your problem is during this quarantine period with your relationship, the number one thing you can do is, I'm pretty sure it's communication. Talk about it. Communicate. If your sex life has declined, even if it hasn't declined and it's actually gotten better, do yourself a favor and just talk about the sex life. Communicate. Using the example of having a sex life that has declined, it's always a hard topic to talk about, right? Because no one really wants to admit or to confess to having a sad sex life or a subpar sex life. And sex is still something that's seen as taboo, so talking about it is still difficult. Now, I like to frame these conversations by confronting the partner and identifying the topic of the conversation and laying out your intentions, like why you want to have this conversation, and asking for permission to have the conversation. And it's not, I'm not saying that you need to ask your partner to speak about it, but it's a tough topic. And when you hear someone, pretend to be your partner now, and I say, hey, our sex life sucks, you're gonna get defensive most likely right away. That's a totally normal response, because someone's coming at you, telling you that you're not good at sex, and you're like, I have references to back it up. How dare you? I don't know if you have references. I just assume you do. So when you frame up the way you want to talk about your problem, the issue in your relationship that you would like to talk about, using the example of a decreased state of intimacy within the relationship, you can identify, hey, our sex life is not as intimate as I would like it to be, or I would like to talk about our intimacy level. I would like to talk specifically about our sex life because I feel it is an important dynamic in our relationship, and I feel like it could be stronger, and I'm sure that both of us are feeling similarly, and I would love to create the time and the space to talk about it with you if you're available right now, or if you're not feeling like you want to discuss this right now, can we set aside a time tomorrow or the day after to talk about it? And that way you're coming at the issue to your partner, you're bringing it up in an empowering way. So you're not shoving the blame on them all right at once. You're not saying, our sex life is declining and it's because of you, because I always try and you don't do anything. You're bringing it up, you're like, hey, don't know if you've noticed, and most likely they're probably going to be like, yeah, I did notice. You're right, I guess we should talk about it. I can talk about it now, or like, you know what, I have to focus on some things for work for the next 2 days. Can we talk about it then? I don't want to be distracted or whatever. That way, it's creating the environment that makes them feel like it's a little bit safer to open up. You're allowing them to see that this relationship is not a give and take on one way. It takes both parties to contribute. Communication. If you've read 7 Highly Successful Habits of Successful People, there's a really good analogy in there about how relationships with any person can be seen as a bank account. Like, both parties should be putting equal amounts of money into it when they can. And both parties should be able to meet it both ways. However, there are times in which one party is going to need to take a break and be like, you know what, I cannot contribute this much into the account, like, regularly. Can you pick up the slack? And I will jump back in when I can, and we'll bounce it out. Knowing that when it comes to time for you and you're going to need to pull out a little bit, your partner will have your back and be like, yeah, no worry, you had me, I got you. Communicate. Looking at it from a point of what can both parties bring into this relationship, into this conversation. Because it's not just one person pointing fingers at the other one, accusing the other party of not doing stuff or doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Because that's accusatory, that can be seen as manipulative, and that's a real way to hinder growth in your relationship. Because if someone is just getting the finger pointed at all the time, how long are they going to stick around to keep getting the finger pointed at them and being told that they're wrong all the time? Like, it's probably not going to make for a happy ending. Communicate. And I know this is hard because a lot of times we don't want to talk about sex. We don't want to talk about the hard issue because it's hard, it's difficult. And I want to leave you with this mantra that I love and I use a lot. It's not hard, it's just new. Talking about sex, talking about how there's a disconnect between communication in your relationship since quarantine. It's a difficult topic because it's new. You haven't confronted this before. And instead of thinking that it's hard and it's difficult and it's gonna go bad, it's not hard, it's new. Remind yourself that it's not hard, it's new. Yes, things could go bad. Yes, your partner could respond negatively. But what if they respond and they agree that it's a topic you need to talk about? Then it's okay, it's not that bad. What if they agree with you on all the points that you brought up and they have some suggestions or some ideas that they've been thinking about? Then it's like, oh, now we're both brainstorming on this together. Okay, we're both in this. We're both trying to create active solutions here. And then what happens when you guys execute those suggestions? And then you're like, oh, our relationship, our sex life has actually grown and gotten stronger and better, and I feel so much more secure and stable. I'm pretty sure it's communication. So when you start thinking that it's hard and it's difficult and it's just like the nitty-gritty conversation you've been avoiding, start thinking about what happens if the first step goes well. Then how can it get better after that? And before you know it, you have just had what you thought was a hard or difficult conversation with your partner, and you feel so much better afterward because you feel a little bit empowered. You have direction. You feel like they're in it. They have your back. And now you can move forward and work on building this relationship together, which is what a relationship is all about. communication. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Pillow Talk with Kate on our hot topic, what's quarantine doing to my relationship? So, if you are one of those people and you feel as though quarantine is affecting your relationship with your partner, I encourage you to rewatch this episode with your partner and have the conversation. Communicate. It's okay. Remember, things aren't coming from it on a one-side standpoint. You only know your side. You don't know your partner's side yet. And if you can feel something's off, most likely they can feel something's off. So bring it up, identify it, frame out your intentions of what you would like the overall end goal to be, and say, and offer them a chance to talk about it. Create that space. Know that there are going to be things that it's hard for you to say, there are going to be things that are hard for them to say. And you can honor that and call it out right before you start having your conversation. Be like, this, you might have things that feel like you're going to be hard to say. I have things that feel like that will be hard to say. So let's just work through this conversation together. And that's a beautiful way to do any partnership. Could it be to communicate? Conversations and communication are important. I feel like I was over there, like, everybody gets a car! I'm sorry, I'm not at that status yet. I can't give everyone cars. One day, I hope. But maybe by that time I'll be handing out hovercrafts, like eco-friendly hovercrafts instead of cars. That would be cool. Anyway, thank you again for tuning in to another episode with me on Pillow Talk, for tuning in always and being loyal, watching, subscribing, hitting that like button and the little bell, because apparently the bell on YouTube is important. And be on the lookout for some new announcements. If you follow me on Instagram and also on Facebook, I'll put the links in below, because I've been working a lot and I'm about ready to just drop a whole bunch of new stuff. So get ready for it. I'm pretty sure it's communication. Communicate.